welcome back everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition, another season of the GSL, the Global StarCraft League, Season 1, Round of 12, Group A. I'm of course your side VIP. With you I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people chat, and by my chains as well. As we are chained, we are ready here for the GSL broadcast. For those that are curious, last week we did go over the qualifiers. We blazed through them 3 days, or I guess 3 broadcasts, 2 days straight of GSL qualifiers, and now we are here to catch up with the group stage. Just to be transparent, of course, this is going to be a replay cast. The events themselves did take place less than a week ago at this point. That was when Group A and Group B did take place, and the plan here today is to spend the entire day covering them. I say the entire day. This morning we have our initial broadcast going over Group A. Of course, it's going to be a GSL format group. We'll be going over the players themselves momentarily, and this afternoon, going over Group B. So we have our kind of more NA friendly broadcasts here for the morning with Group A, and more European with Group B. So 2 broadcasts back to back covering both groups, covering last week's GSL broadcasts. Likewise, next week we'll be going over the next set of group stage, then the playoffs the week after. So 3 weeks straight of GSL. It is a bit of a shorter format. Usually we have 4 groups of 4, and we have like a grander group stage, 16 players at least, or sometimes even up to 24 players as well, but that is not the case this season. GSL has shrunk a little bit here, so there are less players, only 12 players in GSL, and because of that we are missing a bunch of players as well, because there's less room. There's less slots, so there are some key players that failed to qualify. For those that were here for the qualifiers, you would know this, but just to reiterate, there are certain players that are missing from GSL, specifically Creator, Bunny, Shin. Those are the 3 that come to mind. Pretty sure there are Ryung, right? That's yellow. Ryung as well, and a couple of others. So Ryung, Shin, Creator, Bunny, they did not make it through the qualifiers, even though they are amazing players, even though they perform well, even though they are deserving to be in the qualifiers. It shows how cutthroat it is, especially with only 12 players being involved. So certain key players are not going to be a part of this season's GSL, but they will have another chance next season. I should reiterate that as well. Season 2 is at the end of the month, which is crazy. Back-to-back GSL seasons, and again, this first season is going to last 3 weeks, and then we have 3 to 4 weeks, and then of course we have season 2 at the end of the month as well. The reason why it's all condensed, it's all back-to-back is because of EWC. Esports World Cup is in July, and all these events have to conclude before EWC to seed players into that big final circuit event. Oh boy. So yeah, it's all going to be jam-packed. When I say jam-packed, not just these 2 GSLs, but we have DreamHack Dallas this month, we have Star Zagora next month, we have Home Story Cup next month, we have Cheesedelphia, we have a bunch of stuff, bunch of events, bunch of offline tournaments. Here we go. For now though, we are going to be jumping into our first group, into Group A here in the round of 12. Overall, we do have 2 groups regarding GSL. The first group stage, we have some players seeded directly into Group Stage 2, of course. We also covered those seeding matches last week, but now we are heading on over here to catch up on the group itself. Let's go. Okay, we have 4 players. We have 4 players here in Group A. We have Cure and SOS. SOS was a big surprise when it comes to players joining GSL this season. It's thanks to SOS that other players were not able to get involved in the season of GSL. SOS was partially responsible for Bunny not making it through. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But yes, we have Cure versus SOS in the first round, and we have Rainer and Solar also in this group as well for that ZVZ matchup. So 4 players, 2 Zergs, 1 Terran, 1 Protoss, and only 2 will make it through. As a reminder, this is a GSL format group. We have the initial matches, then we have the winners match, elimination match, and decider match thereafter. 2 players will advance on into Group Stage 2, where further players are seeded into that event. Oh boy. Seeded into Group Stage 2. For now though, we have our initial TvP, and I'm curious, I'm excited to see how this will turn out. Fun fact, this is a rematch. SOS, he actually played in the Pigstore Cup 2 weeks ago. He made his return to competitive play, did announce of course on social media that he was coming back, but he played in the Pigstore Cup and he did decently well when it comes to his Protoss versus Terran matchups, but he was shut down by Cure in that open weekly tournament. Cure, he has some of the best TvP in the world. I would go as far as to say that he has the second best TvP, second only to Clem. And saying that, if you remember, Cure also had a really rough weekend. If you were here, the May Mayhem took place, a big round-robin group stage filled with Koreans and Europeans, and Cure had a really rough time in that group stage. If you remember, he went down to Max, Hero, and Showtime, and he went down to Clem's Protoss as well. So he went down to 4 different Protoss players. He did take a map off of Clem, which is impressive, but he did have a really rough showing against the other 3 Protoss players, so that might be indicative of things to come. It's hard to say here. I mean, again, the 3 Protosses that I listed, I mean, that's some of the best Protoss, if not the best Protoss players in the world, so you don't get more difficult than that, but we'll see. We'll see if Cure is looking to vent his frustrations out on SOS. We'll see if that's a sign of things to come, with maybe SOS coming out on top. Likewise, with this preparation-based format, players, they know their opponents ahead of time. We can prepare builds as well, and that is where I would hope SOS can thrive. Hope he can thrive here in this kind of setting, where he has time to prepare, time to cook up a storm. We'll see if he has. We'll see if he does. As we are jumping into game 1. Game 1 is going to be on Persephone. Let's go. As we are jumping into our first series, into our first match, into our first TvP. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Persephone, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the Red Protoss. Representing his new team, representing Streamer Zone, it is sOs. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Whew, here we go. Just catching up with the chat. Nutella Toast and GSL in a seductive chain field cast. True. We're chained up. Wow, we're all chained up. Let's go. That's how we do here in the GSL. Not wrong, not wrong. Not wrong, as we are going to be opening up. Welcome on to Persephone, of course. This is something that we were a little bit concerned about when it comes to the qualifiers. If you remember, the qualifiers did take place before the new season, before the new map pool was live. So the qualifiers were being held in the previous map pool, but here GSL on the current ladder map pool with maps like Persephone, like Tokamak, like many of the other, like all the other new maps, The Last Fantasy as well. So great to see that we're going to be able to feature them here and now in GSL. Let's go. I do know that GSL has a history of sometimes having its own map pool and introducing its own maps as well. I believe that is not the case in this season of GSL though. We're sticking with what we know. Likewise, welcome all to Persephone. Persephone is one of the, I would say, more popular but more aggressive maps in the new map pool. Shorter rush distance by ground. There are some quirks to it, like the healing pad, like the gold base, like the speed zones as well. But for the most part, we do see a lot more aggression on this map, and we don't often get to see those features come into play. Every now and then, we're able to get into a longer macro game and embrace the gold base for sure, especially in this matchup, actually, now that I think about it. If we were covering someone like Classic, like Hero, like Max, then we would expect to see them go for a longer later game state into a mass gateway style, into a swarm toss style, into eventually, you know, claiming the map and taking over the map itself. But I don't really know how SOS enjoys TvP. I don't know what his style really is. We did feature him 2 weeks ago, that is true, in that Pegasaur Cup, but it's been 2 weeks, so, you know, he might have reinvented himself a little bit. We'll see how he has adjusted over time. For now, we are settling in. It is going to be the racks into factory, double gas opener into a faster starport, into a delayed CC. So again, a much more aggressive start here by Cure, which is more or less what we expect out of Cure on some of these smaller maps. And with this, we can go into an early Cyclone, into an early medevac drop. We can go into an early tank as well after the Cyclone and go for a tank push. Aggression here is going to be favored, and there we go. We have the early Cyclone on the way initially, and we can go for the tank thereafter, lined up with the medevac. Oh boy. So our eyes are going to be on Cure. Behind this, we have a 3-gate opener. Okay, SOS with a 3-gate opener here. This is not too normal just because of the additional gateways and because of the extra warpins we're going to be seeing. This means that the tech is going to be late. The Robo, the Stargate, the Twilight Council is going to be delayed here for SOS in favor of extra units early on. Curious, we'll see what he's able to get done with this. Meanwhile, across the map, the Cyclone is completed. We can see here medevac on the way, and we're going for a second Cyclone. We're not going for the early tank push. I was curious if we were. This is a very safe way to play this out. Yes, Curious pushing, but with these Cyclones, if we had a Stargate opener, if we had early game aggression, then this would be shut down. Meanwhile, with that 3-gate opener, here we go. SOS does warp in across the map. He's being hyper aggressive across the map. But this also means there's nothing at home to defend. There's 2 adepts, no shield battery. I do favor Cure coming into this here. There we go, knocks his Reaper into the main base, heads towards that main base mineral line as well. As well at the same time does hit the natural base of Cure. And with that warp, it looks like SOS, he should have enough. Yeah, warps to the Stalkers, does force a pickup. With that SOS, he does defend across the map. What do we have? The Cyclone not quite able to engage. And not able to here. A much more aggressive build by SOS. Both players are losing workers, that is true. But SOS is dealing more damage. Dying mining at the natural, dropping back into the main though. More probes going to be going down. Remember, SOS has no blink. His army is very immobile, but has a lot of DPS, has a lot of firepower. With the help of that Cyclone, I believe Cure should be fine back at home. Oh, the lock-ons though. Yeah, the target firing on that Cyclone gets trapped on the Marines. Adept goes down. Cure holds. Cure, he does hold, he does defend. As it settles, where exactly are we? Cure, he's down 8 SCVs. That is true, but behind this add-on swap, no, not quite add-on swap. Tech Lab into Banshee, no cloak, but we'll clean up these Stalkers. Yeah, the tank has arrived. Cure, he's secure. And this is where I'm worried for SOS. SOS, it was good damage, but again, we did reciprocate that damage, and on top of that, there's still no tech. SOS is pretty committed here. Now he does cancel the War Prism and a little bit indecisive here. Okay, so he cancels the War Prism and he does start up the Twilight Council. Looks like SOS is going for a longer kind of game state. This does mean that Cure has gained map control. He defends, he survives, and now it's soon time to counterattack. But now the drop is pinned down. We have Cloak on the way, extra Banshees, 0 detection. No, wait, my apologies. Robo is done, and we have 1 observer. Thankfully, 1 observer is moving out across the map, but can always be recalled. The Banshee should not end the game. There is detection available. Whew. Okay, the game will continue. And SOS will eventually catch up in upgrades, going into Charge first. I do like the prioritization of Charge. Charge is designed to shut down and punish a player being overly aggressive. If we saw an early tank push across the map, then Zealots are quite cheap and they will shut that down. The give and take between going for a Charge-based opener and a Blink Stalker-based follow-up is that Charge will keep you safe against pushes, Blink Stalkers will give you map control and deny drop play, and potentially allow you to blink into the main, for example, and counterattack. Stalkers are a little more flexible, that is true, with how you want to make use of them, how active you want to be. But Zealots will keep you safer early on if Cure were to commit. Banshees, they poke in, they poke out. They have Stim on the way. Banshees will then have Cloak. Banshee on the right, Banshee on the left. Still no observer. Looks like it was called out. Uh-oh. But Cloak was cancelled. Never mind. Never mind. If Cloak wasn't cancelled, by the way, damage would be done. There are no observers on the field. But there's no longer any Cloaks, so Cure, he doesn't commit. There was potential. And with that, we're building up. We're stabilizing, we're settling down. We have Storm now on the way for SOS, now claiming a 3rd expansion. Likewise, Cure is doing the same. 3rd TC is on the way. So after a very chaotic start to the game, we're slowing things down, we're building back up. And we could be in for a longer game, unironically, despite the chaotic start. As we are moving out with the Storm drop. So 2-Eye Templar in that Prism. Likewise, Double Banshee, they can one-shot workers, but they are denied. As Stalkers are in position. Here we go. As SOS does move in towards that natural, coming in for the storms. Cure, he does respect it, does pull away. Does pull away in time. Likewise has to pull back. Oh no! Oh my god, okay, does pull back, thankfully. Nice splits, nice avoid. Storms, they get 1 SCV and 2 mules. That's all they get. Solid defense here from Cure. Likewise takes down one of those high tempo. Oh no, the prism! Yeah, prism goes down as well. One more volley. The recall not in time. And a soul defense here from Cure, very clean. Again, only losing 1 SCV and 2 mules. Well worth it here for Cure. That was 2 High Templar. Now there are 3 High Templar left. Behind this bay is on the way for Colossus. But Colossus production is delayed in favor of the Storm. Cure now claiming his 3rd, saturating. And then going building up towards a longer game stage. As Cure takes his 3rd base, SOS is taking his 4th. Again, it's on the Protoss to be up a base. To be up an expansion. Cure does move out. High Templar moving in, ready for their storms or even feedbacks. Orders has to get thrown down ahead of time. Storms are pushing forward. The first storm does graze the army, but only graze. There's 1 storm left. Oh, Curie does anticipate it. Does pull away. Does pull away in time. Going for the main, knocking down a Cybercore. He is looking to push through. Likewise, High Templar, they're gathering up energy. Right now, there is no Colossus, despite the bay. There are 3 High Templar, so at least 3 storms. And Cure dropping into the main. You see SOS out of position. Charge also denied. It drops into the main base. There's 1 High Templar. Storm goes up. Does force to pick up. Does the zone Cure away. Nice positioning here from SOS. Likewise, getting ready for his own counterattack. Cure, he does have some units at home in position, and Cure backs up. He doesn't like what he sees. He does pull away. First Colossus is now halfway done. Now, bearing in mind, as else they do get past those Widow Mines, and they do get past. Unfortunate moment there for Cure, but he does race all the way back home. He will deal with this eventually. Now without losing some SCVs. Now what I was going to say here is that because Cure hasn't seen anything in the main, and he hasn't seen the Bay, or he hasn't seen Colossus production, he has no Vikings. He made the first 2 Vikings, which killed the Warp Prism. That's the only Vikings he has. With the lower Viking counts, it's going to be difficult to deal with those Colossus. Not impossible, but difficult. The sooner he realizes what's going on, the sooner he'll go back into Viking production.
Upgrade complete.
I say that, never mind. Does start 2 more. Okay, we're good to go. Does start 2 more. Moves in on the right hand side. SOS is lacking some map vision here. He's not fully aware what's going on until now. Does spot the army. SOS races back home. The base is exposed. Is a High Templar. But probes are going to be going down. SOS should get it every time though. Oh, nice EMP. EMP on the High Templar. There's 1 storm. Yeah, just the 1 storm available. There we go. Storm does well. Sorry, there's going to be another storm. Yeah, the 2nd and the 3rd. Better connections towards the end. Vikings, they do so no way though. But it looks like SOS, he may just barely have enough. The Colossus, they take a lot of hits. 1 Colossus goes down. Never mind. Cure, he breaks through. And there's 1 Colossus left. Barely, I mean, does bleed out of its shields. Take some hull damage. Still so close here with the Warp Pit. Oh, does overextend. Colossus almost goes down. Almost down to a slither of HP. There's the final storm. But you can see Curie just reinforces. He just rallies across the map. There's almost nothing left. There's no more storms. Colossus goes down. There's 1 Colossus remaining. We saw Vikings left over. GG gets called. Cure, he breaks on through. And Cure, he will take game number 1. Whew. GG. does take the first game. Again, SOS had a cheeky opener, which did cause a little chaos. Remember, it was a 3-gate opener, 3 gateways. Because of that, though, he delayed his tech. Late Robo, late Twilight Council, late everything in favor of that early game aggression. And yes, he did kill some SCVs. He killed like 7 to 10 SCVs. But the problem is he also was losing probes at home because of Cure's opener. Both players opened up aggressive, but Cure, he had an easier kind of transition into the mid game. SOS less so, right? SOS, he fell behind in other aspects, so he stumbled his way into the mid game instead. Did survive, did get to 4 bases, but alas, his army just could not compare. Likewise, he was also lacking some map vision. He had a hard time responding to the movement of the army, both when it came to Cure pushing on the left and pushing on the right hand side as well. And in the end, GG. GG, well played. SOS, he gets torn apart, and Cure takes game number 1. So now jumping into game 2. Game 2 is going to be on Tokamak. Ooh, okay. So now we're moving from one of the more aggressive maps into one of the more defensive maps here. And we'll see how our players do adjust. More than anything, I'm looking at SOS to see, again, if he has another cheeky build up his sleeve. Let's go. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tokamak, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Streamer Zone down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. It is SOS. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Here we go. Again, Cure is coming in as a favorite player, but SOS did cause some chaos early on in that last game, was able to get some damage done. Now, I do not imagine we're going to see another 3-gate opener. No shot. We're not going to see another 3-gate opener out of SOS, not in this series at least. We'll see if we, or how we adjust going into something more standard. As I mentioned before, this map is more defendable. It is larger as well, so it is easier to get up to a 3 and 4 base economy. Is SOS known for that kind of play, though? Not really. I mean, kind of. What I will say, for those who haven't been watching SOS over the past year, SOS, he actually hasn't been retired for that long. He stepped away, he went on a hiatus for around a year, or maybe like 9 months, but he was competing last year. He was competing the year before that as well. What I will say is that SOS was a little bit less chaotic, a little bit less adventurous when it came to his build, and a little bit more standard more than anything. It's almost like Stats when he returned. Stats was also cheesing it up, and he was kind of like less hyper defensive like he used to be back in the day. So what I'm getting at is that I wouldn't be surprised if we do see something more standard, something more macro out of SOS. Doesn't have to be too spicy all the time. But here we go. Here we go. For now, we have our openers. This time more economic. This time ranks expand out of Cure. Remember, last game he went for a faster 1-1-1 into the early Cyclone drop. This time that is not the case. This time faster command center into early Marine, into early Reactor. No SCV scouts and no Reaper scouts. No scouting whatsoever, which is standard here in a macro TvP. Meanwhile, SOS with the proxy pylon. Okay, let's go. Now, this is going to take advantage of the fact that Cure is not scouting. Cure, he is somewhat scouting and checking the 3rd base locations just in case there's a proxy, but he doesn't go further to the 4th location. No boy. And now you can see that Cure is being punished for not scouting. Again, he sees nothing across the map. He does not know that the tech is missing once again, and it is going to be a proxy robo and a proxy gateway. Let's go. The stars are aligning. It's not just that Cure isn't scouting. Cure is also opening up very economically here. So this is best case scenario for SOS. In his best case. Gateway's on the way, Robo's on the way as well. I would imagine that, again, this is a prepared build specifically for Tokamak. As again, there's a higher chance that Cure would open up economic on this map as well. Behind this, opening up double Hellion into Widowmine drop. Meanwhile, Immortal Production's on the way. Oh my god. This is something you don't see too often. Proxy Robo in PvT. How many gateways? We have so far 2 gates at home, 1 across the map. Warp gate is almost done. SOS did expand, don't get us wrong, but is hyper committed with this. Hyper aggressive. Let's go. I was like, yo, do we see some macro on Tokamak? Oh, I mean, we are from Cure. Oh, and here we go. Cure going for the quadruple mine drop across the map, going for the add-on solve as well. What is the army looking like? No safety bunker, by the way. Even if there was, that's what the Immortal's for. So no bunker. Likewise, only 2 Marines to defend. Cyclone has begun, but this Cyclone is late. Again, there was no scouting, and SOS is coming in for the kill. Let's go is here to avenge Hero for being cheesed out of IM Canavite last year. He's so now let's go. For my boy, takes out the first depot, going for the second. And the second depot will supply the Cure. But now going for the mineral line. Depot goes down. Across the map, mine drop does hit the natural. Probes are falling. That still pales in comparison to what's happening here across the map. We have now safety bunker. Oh, now we have the bunker on the way, but this does feel late. Now we have 2 Immortals. And SOS is moving in. Does move in. Zones away the Cyclone. Boys are being pulled. Nice lock on, and we can surround these Immortals. And saying that Banshee has arrived as well. SOS is going to be cleaned up. Okay, the Immortal goes down, takes down 10 SCVs, not bad, but he will lose his entire army. Let's get the hell out of here. He was not able to get on top of the Cyclone. And the Cyclone will shut down that Immortal. Ooh, brutal pick off the efficiency here out of Cure. And across the map, he gets 5 probe kills. There weren't many to begin with. SOS still has the higher worker count, that is true. Oh, Cure overextends. Cure does overextend. Cyclone should not have been out there. But Cure is holding. Cure is holding on. Ooh, the tank does siege. But despite that, with all these gateways, now it's not about the Immortals. Now it's going to be about here the Stalkers. SOS can still break this. There's still no bunker. Still no bunker. Likewise, there's no wall either. It got broken down. So SOS, you can force the army to split. Adepts threaten another shade. Oh, they do not get in. They don't get in. Boys are being pulled. We try to pull off the surround, even the repair. But the Banshee does fall. So does the tank. We have a second tank on the high ground. Second tank has arrived. Yeah, tank blow is going up. But there's no bio army. There's no army on the ground. And with that SOS, he denies mining at the natural. Hoping to force a lift. Secure trying to move down. Going, oh no, that's going to be a kill. Yeah, kill. No lift on the CC. Ay, ay, ay. And SOS, he's doing it. He's doing it here. And again, when was the last time you saw Proxy Robo at this level of play, especially? Like, no one does that. Maybe Jimmy? That's the most that I can think of. Well, let's go. As with that SOS, he breaks the main army, takes down the tank. There's Vanilla Marines left over, but they're Vanilla Marines, there's nothing left. SOS, he can just keep going. And Curie's coping on one base, going for the tank, going for the Banshee. I mean, these units, they can trade well for themselves. But SOS, at this point, can expand and get another base. Can just expand and get another, can get the third Nexus. Get another base up running, tank goes down. Curie heals late to save. He's just crippling whatever economy there is left. And just going for the SCVs. The Prism is finally going to go down, but these are still better trades for SOS. Trading out whatever he can. Behind this, yep, third base is on the way. Just getting a third Nexus. Behind this, getting to charge as well. Extra gateways. Here we got a medevac and a dream. Let's go. We got a tank. We got 4 Marines. Likewise, behind this, getting to his own one base setup. It's all he can do. Ay, ay, ay. And he's going for the Cybercore at least. He's doing what he can. But yeah, there it is. GG gets called. SOS, he will tie the series 1-1. We are going to the ace match. Let's go. Whew. GG. Again, a spicy build there from SOS in game number 2. Again, something that, again, we cast StarCraft multiple times a day, every single day. I can't recall the last time we've seen a proxy robo in a TvP, specifically in a Protoss vs Terran matchup. Again, outside of maybe Jumi, if that, just because he's one of the more quirky players at times. So, GG well played, very well done there by SOS. He's been cooking, let him cook, Pappy. Let him cook, Pappy, let him cook. Let's go. Does pop off, does break through. Now we're getting ready here for our next matchup here. The final game of the series is going to be loading into Maganatha. As we load in, a big shout out to Draconics in the chat. Ga, papi, ga, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Bienvenidos, papi, bienvenidos. Ese Draconics, Davito también. Ah, ¿qué tal? Good to see you. Good to see you, papi. Good to see you. Hope you guys had a great stream. Hope you guys had a great ladder session as well. Bienvenidos. To the CranKy Ducklings, as we are here covering GSL and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Maganatha. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Streamer Zone, tying up the series 1-1 and forcing the ace match. It is sOs. Full Legion Peru. Oh no, let's go. Ataque Inca. Oh god, you're all animals, you're all animals. In the bottom right hand corner we have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran representing Team Liquid, being forced into the ace match. We'll see if we can bring it back. It is a Cure. Saludos peruano australiano. Más peruano que la papa. Oh no. God damn it. Shaking my head, shaking my head. Good to see you, Pappy. Good to see you. Again, hope you had a great stream. Had a great stream. And again, welcome, bienvenidos. Aquí estamos haciendo GSL, 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 en inglés, no en español, en inglés, Pappy, en inglés. Smurge. But good to see you, always, always. As now we are going to be loading into Maganatha, the largest map in the new map pool. You don't get larger than Maganatha. And if you recall, loading into Tokamak, it's a similar story where I was like, okay, now we're loading into a more macro map, a more defensive map. Are we going to see some more mid to late game out of SOS? And then we proxy Robo, right? Then we proxy Robo. He does catch his opponent off guard with his pants down. Gate cyber expand, extended opener so far out of SOS. So because of that, I'm curious if Cure, if he's going to play more defensively, more safe. No, never mind. Racks expand still does open up economically. The chances of SOS going for a proxy 2 games in a row is quite low, and Cure, he does SCV scout. As a reminder, Cure, he did not SCV scout last game. Cure, he was cutting corners, he was punished for it. This time he does check, he does scout, he does confirm there is a natural. So SOS getting into Cure's head here. The mind games are real. Oh god. True. Oh no. La VIP es Cajamarquino, papi. Puro floro es. Oh no. I have been to Cajamarca, by the way. Unironically. Or I think of something else. I might be thinking of something else. Oh no. What do I think? I'm thinking of Pachamanca. That's it. That's it. The other one. I've been there. I've been there. I've been in La Sierra. Oh no. Long time ago. 2009. Long time. For now though, Twilight Council opener out of SOS. We do have our initial gateways as well. Out of all games so far in this series, we actually have something more standard here. We have a 3-gate setup here, Twilight Council, 3-gate blink. Very safe play out of SOS. We could double down and go for a Robo into a 4th gateway, but so far safe play leading in towards, I would imagine, a 3rd base. Nothing too crazy out of SOS this time. Likewise, Cure back at home, getting into his own 1-1-1 setup. Safety bunker as well. Again, last game we skipped the bunker, we skipped the SCV scout. Cure is playing much safer here now that he's forced into the ace match. Much safer. Que ahora juega Shelby versus Cyril. Shelby. Ay, ay, ay. Adepts, they do commit to the shade. 5 Adepts here getting into the natural, not bad. They do trade well. They get out of range of that Widow Mine. But last are going to be targeted down one after the other. Down to 3 Adepts. They do not get any economic damage. They do try to head into the mid-run, but again, they're going to be zoned away. They get 2 SCVs. But not much more than that. As SOS does pull out. Does pull out. Behind this, yep, there's Blink on the horizon going for his expansion. That was a big commitment by SOS going into those initial 5 Adepts, and it was not worth it here for our Protoss. Ay, ay, ay. With that, Kira takes an early lead. Does move out, does confirm the 3rd base on the way. Is aware of the expansion. Is where we are heading into a longer game state. From here, 2 more maxes. Building up into our upgrades and most likely building up into the mid game. We're slowing down. Let's go. Best cheese of Peru is from Cajamarca. That's why I play soccer with a lot of cheese. Ah, cap. Oh, no. As SOS does break out. Again, looking to contain his opponent. Bearing in mind SOS, he has Blink. That is true, but he does not have any Prism alongside. This does go for the dive. Yeah, first tank is going to go down. Massive pickoff. Takes down the tank, going for the bunker as well. 1 more volley. Barely not able to break it down. And Kira does hold. Kira, he does hold on. Denied some mining time here, but does survive. Again, a wild Blink out of SOS. Not the worst trade. Bleeding out 2 Stalkers for a tank. Meanwhile, drop does slip into the main. Cashing out 2-3 probes. Gets a handful of workers. Nothing major, just keeping SOS on his toes. Behind this, Curie should be contained. He should be contained. You can see here he's just hurtling up on 2 bases. We have the tank on the low ground. We have Marauders in the main base as well. 3rd TC is on the way, and we shouldn't break out until the upgrades kick in. Stim, combat shields +1. Until then, Cure is stuck on 2 bases. From here, this is when the Protoss player would typically want to mass expand, get not just their 3rd base operational, but get a 4th base as well. And the 4th base is on the way. So building up to the 4th. From here, it's going to be on SOS to gain map control and to gain a better economy and to outtrade his opponent over time. We did mention that SOS isn't really known for that kind of style, but that is what is required here of him on Maganatha, as it is difficult to break a defending player, especially early on. So we are waiting for the 4th, and there it is, on the way. So SOS does claim his 4th base. Meanwhile, auto try to harass Era into the natural. No splash damage yet. I will say this is delayed for SOS. By now we would have had a Robo and a Bay and getting ready for Colossus production, or even up to Storm. But SOS tech-wise is 1 step behind. And here comes Kira. Kira, he breaks out of his contain. Gonna be landing his 3rd base on location. The Bio Army breaks out, and again, usually we would have either Storm or Colossus by now, but again, this is late for SOS. He has nothing. The Bay just now starting. SOS, he does have a decent chunk of Zealots. That might be enough. It's going to be close. A lot of this will come down to the mine shots. Yeah, there are enough Zealots. He should, barely not commit. As more reinforcements have arrived. Here making his way over towards the 4th. Does move in. Will deny. Oh, that's a kill, not a cancel. That is a kill in the expansion. Zealots come in for a full surround. They take down the initial tank. Mine shots are connecting. But once Zealots run out, then the Stalkers are exposed. And Curie takes the fight. He takes the fight. Takes down the Zealots. Takes down the Stalkers. Takes down the base. And Curie, he will come out ahead here. Again, SOS 1 step behind, as we mentioned. Before we even thought about the 4th base, we should have already seen the Bay and the Robo. But SOS, his tech was delayed. It was late. And without that splash damage, he will lose the fourth. And Cure is miles ahead at this point. Cure, he's in a stronger position at this point. And is just outscaling SOS. He's like, hey, you had a cheeky build, but welcome to 2025. Welcome to GSL. Security stims in, takes down the charge lots, and again, there's almost nothing left here. As SOS bleeds out Zealots. He's trying to hold on. First Colossus is on the way. Sorry, first Colossus is out. Is out. Ooh. And with that, SOS can hold on a little bit longer here. He's now getting his fourth base up and running, but Cure's about to max out. He's going to be the first to max. He has a terrifying army. Mass Marine, Mass Marauder. As Cure does collapse in. Stimming in from multiple angles. There's not really much support. Colossus is almost started down. Kiting back against the Zealots. Does kite back. Once again collapses in. With this many Marauders, the Colossus wipes. They tickle the army. Holding on there. Takes down the medevac. And now we're building up to 2 Colossus. We're getting there. SOS, he's slowly building up. Cure, he pulls away. +1 ship weapons on the way. Getting to reactor to Viking production. From here, 4th base on location. Can now afford a 2nd starport. And more Vikings. And I do appreciate this from Cure, because SOS he's barely holding on. What he doesn't have is free supply to do things like this, to warp in defensively back at home. As drop is getting ready. SOS takes a 5th base top right. Bold move out of SOS. But he has to take these chances, has to take these risks. As warp in is available. SOS he holds onto his natural. Cure behind this, building up his Vikings. We spoke earlier about a 2nd starport. There it is. 2nd starport's on the way. Getting into mass Viking. Again, the Colossus are the only big problem here for Cure. So he needs those Vikings. Ideally, some Ghosts with EMP. They're also on the way. Cure getting into a superior army. At this point, SOS would need multiple forms of splash damage. He cannot rely solely on Colossus. And in a more standard and more regular PvT, we would see Disruptors by now. We'd see Disruptors, we'd see more Immortals, we'd see a 2nd, maybe even a 3rd Robo. The problem is that SOS, he did stumble his way into the mid game. He's not set up for that. Is not set up. And here comes Cure. For now, going to be distracted. Cure does pull away back home. Does pull away. We have we have 4, soon to be 5 Colossus. This does feel desperate here from SOS. Just pure Colossus. That's all he can make at the moment. Again, does spot those 3 Colossi. Cure kites back. Needs more Vikings. Needs all the Vikings. So the army does drop back in. Going for the Robo. Robo is going to be sniped. Massive pickup. Bearing in mind there was only 1 Robo producing. They're pushing in top right. He has 7 Vikings. Charge will take go for the dive. They try to catch at the army. Not bad. Yeah, Cure, he was not ready for this. Does bleed out a lot of Zealots. That was a pretty good fight for SOS. It's pretty good. Did catch out the army. There were no major EMPs. SOS, he is recovering. Unironically, he's holding on, he's recovering, getting another base. He's catching back up. When it comes to the quality of the army, it's still very gateway heavy. It's very gateway heavy, and he's still heavily reliant on these Colossus as well. but he's holding on. Despite the rough start. He's holding on. We have now a third starport on the way. Getting up to triple starport production. So it's going to be Mass Viking into Mass Liberator. And both armies are maxed out. The advantage that Cure once had is not really there anymore. I mean, I say that Cure does have a bank, which is terrifying. Usually it's the Protoss with the bank instead. So Cure, he has resources to work with. But SOS, he's holding his own. I'm still not in love with the army. Like, it's one of those things where the soup does lie. The supply doesn't really say the quality of the army, and that's in favor of Cure. As SOS is pushing through the center. Cure trying to respond. And Cure, he should take down top right. At the same time, SOS, he just sends it across the map. Does send it. Cure, he has to evacuate. Nice EMP here on the Zealots. Vikings moving in. That's a lot of Vikings. And once again, nice EMP on the Stalkers as well. And the Claws, they just go down. They just crumble. As you can see here, one army's not quite like the other. The soup did lie. And SOS, he will lose everything. The army crumbles here. All the Claws fall. Top right goes down as well. And everything crumbles for the Protoss. And Cure, he just send it. He just keep on going from here. The base goes down. As you mentioned, even though both armies were maxed out, SOS, he was stuck on Colossus, and only on purely Colossus. He had no Storm, he had no Disruptors. He had no setup into Sky Toss. He had nothing else behind it. And with that, Curie just snowball out of control. He snowballs out of control, moves out across the map, does hit the fourth base, or I guess the fifth. First Disruptor has arrived, let's go. He's got the Nova, doesn't connect, never mind. And GG gets called. Cure, he will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the winner's match. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Again, Cure with a solid performance here in game number 3. I will say that again, SOS had a cheeky build in game 2, going for the proxy robo and catching Cure off guard, catching him with his pants down. Here in game 3, you saw Cure being very safe, checking proxy locations, going for the SCV scout across the map, and getting a safety bunker as well. The early adept aggression wasn't really worth it. Likewise, we saw that SOS, he had a later fourth base and very late tech. His robo was so late. He got his robo after the fourth nexus, which is crazy, by the way. Usually you get it when you're usually you can get it even before your own third, depending on how safe you want to be, or at least when you get your third base. But this was a much later robo, which means late bay, which means late Colossus. And we saw that he was broken real fast, real early on. He did stay in the game and he was able to max out, that is true. But again, he maxed out on a very cheap army, and a very low tech army as well. So when the main fight happened, he just crumbled in supply. He just could not contend against the mass bio Ghost Viking of Cure. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're getting into our next game. We're going to be loading into game number 2, into our next series, I should say, as Cure does take the first match, and we have a ZVZ up next. Let's go. We have a Zerg versus Zerg matchup between Raynor and Solar, and this is going to be an interesting one. I was so curious to see how these two compared against each other. One, Raynor has been lost in the Rift, like for the past, 5 months? Since almost the start of the year, Raynor, he has been lost in the Rift for quite some time. He has famously not been playing much StarCraft and spending time, enjoying his break, enjoying the off-season of EPT. But now he's back. He did travel to Korea. He was there for Sordo's wedding, so really, big shout out to Sordo, of course. A bunch of the Europeans went to Korea a month ago at this point. Of course, Raynor did stick around to compete in GSL. And we'll see how he compares to Solar. Solar, who's a player that didn't go on hiatus, who did keep competing, keep training, and Solar, who at one point was known for having the best ZVZ in the world. Infamously, Solar, he had the nickname of Serral Slayer, where he would be one of the players to consistently bring down Serral time and time again with these very intense timing attacks, with these very aggressive builds. Likewise, I'm sure Rainer's aware of that, and it's been quite some time. It's been like over a year since that era of StarCraft was about, and aggression has been more accepted here by the European Zerg players. So I'm expecting something more chaotic. I am expecting. Let's go.